Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Aaron Schatz from ESPN.com, good enough to jump aboard with us. Also does work over there with For the Numbers. That's FTN. You get it on Twitter at FTN Fantasy. Aaron, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. I'm, all excited for the draft, just like everyone in the NFL world.
It's so wild, man, how, we get so geeked over something we have no control over and has been proven over time to probably not have as big of an impact as we think, but it's a really exciting time. You put out the Playmaker score projections. Let me start with a very easy one. Explain to our audience at a third grade level, what are the Playmaker score projections?
Sure. What we're projecting is the average yards per season in the first 5 seasons for top wide receiver prospects based on a number of different variables, mostly having to do with performance in college.
Okay. What are some of the key variables that people could understand?
How many yards and touchdowns you get per team attempt. Because if your team passes the ball a lot, you have a better chance to get yards and touchdowns.
Sure.
We also take into account projected draft position because the scouts do kind of know what they're doing. And we also take into account how old guys are. Are they underclassmen or are they seniors? That's an interesting one because in the past, underclassmen almost always outperformed seniors in the NFL. But now players may stay longer because of NIL money and may not come out as early. So we don't know if that variable is going to matter in the future.
Your rankings actually have a bit of success. Last year, the number one guy on this list was Malik Neighbors. Turns out he was pretty good in his rookie year. Brian Thomas, number 2, pretty good. Roma Dunze, Marvin Harrison Jr., number 4. It turns out you guys may be onto something here. So let's dive into this a little bit further. When you look at last year's class, how would you classify the Playmaker score projections from, at this point, a year ago? Like if you were to classify the whole draft class.
Awesome. Last year was one of the best wide receiver classes of the last 25 years.
How does 2025 compare to 2024?
It's terrible. It's really bad.
Okay.
Last year we had 13 different receiving prospects with a Playmaker score over 400. 13. This year we have 4, and one of them may not even play wide receiver in the NFL.
That, of course, would be Travis Hunter. So let's talk about what makes Travis Hunter so elite in this Playmaker score projection.
Yeah, I mean, we may be underselling him, frankly. He's super productive compared to how often Colorado threw the ball, and yet, at the same time, this is a player who played full-time on defense, so he may not have gotten as much offensive productivity as he could if he concentrated on wide receiver. So he's our number one guy. But, of course, if he plays primarily cornerback, he's not going to match this projection. If he only plays 10 snaps a game as a wide receiver, he won't match this projection.
A guy that, Hunter will be off the board by the time the Saints pick at 9 and being here in Louisiana. That's the focus. Tetairoa McMillan is, though, a guy that a lot of mock drafts have to New Orleans at 9. Tell me what your metrics think of McMillan out of Arizona.
Well, he's all over the map in similar historical prospects. He's number 2 in Playmaker score, right? So he had a really great college career, but if you look at his size and you look at, what he's known for, he's similar to Julio Jones, which sounds awesome.
Yeah, love that.
He's similar to N'Keal Harry, which sounds terrible.
Don't love that. Okay, so what do you think he projects more? Is he closer to Julio or closer to Harry?
Kind of halfway in between. I mean, that's the thing is it's difficult to project guys into the NFL, and there really are a range of possibilities. And I think McMillan, because of the fact that he's less about raw speed, has a wider range of possibilities than these other prospects.
When Aaron Schatz is our guest, by the way, Twitter or X at @SchatzNFL. Go give him a follow. Great piece up at ESPN.com talking about the playmaker score projections with these receivers in this class. It's relevant to us because the Saints are most likely to be targeting a receiver, and this apparently is not a great playmaking class. Who are the other guys in this class that do score high?
Yeah, we've got 4 guys, right? So we've got Hunter and we've got McMillan. Then we've got Matthew Golden from Texas. And we have a Luther Burden III from Missouri. And then there's a drop-off to the next few guys.
Tell me what you like about Golden and Burden.
I mean, Golden, in part, we have him as a first-rounder because he's projected as a first-rounder. I know that sounds weird, but, scouts do generally know what they're doing. And we like that he's coming out as a junior instead of a senior. His stats are not as impressive as you might expect because Texas played 16 games, and therefore they threw the ball 541 times. And he had the fastest 40 times at the Combine, but history actually shows that there's no statistical signal in a player's 40 time that you won't already find in his college performance. Still, I mean, I don't want this to sound like I don't think he's a really good prospect. He is a really good prospect.
That's interesting. So effectively you're saying we put too much emphasis on the 40.
Well, certain positions, right?
Okay.
We found that the 40 does have some predictive value. But with the wide receivers, we don't find any predictive value that you wouldn't get from just looking at how good they were in college.
Okay. You obviously study numbers and analytics, but you also have eyes, and I would assume you're a football lover as well. So when you look at the list, projecting the top wide receivers in this class, there has to be someone who you saw play that you thought, man, that's a really good player. I'm surprised they are this low in my metric. What player or players might that be?
To be honest, I don't really have an answer to that because I don't watch that much college football. I really concentrate solely on the NFL. So I haven't seen that much. You watch a little bit of film of these guys, right? But I haven't. It's not like I was watching them all season because I'm really NFL centric. Are there
players on this list that when you've gotten a reaction to your list that people have told you, hey, I think that guy's low?
I did get a lot of my article. I picked LeJohntay Wester from Colorado as a day 3 sleeper, and I got a lot of attaboys, right? I got a lot of we like LeJohntay Wester. That's a good one. So it's less that people were surprised guys were so low and more that they like the sleepers. Isaiah Bond is a day 2 sleeper from Texas, and the day 3 sleeper I have is LeJohntay Wester from Colorado, who played before that at Florida Atlantic. The one guy who we may have a little low is Emeka Egbuka, and that is Ohio State. Now, the thing about Egbuka is that he really went down as a junior in his numbers, and in the senior, he rebounded a little bit. We have a variable that adjusts for if you have to share the field with another top prospect. But it may not be adjusting right for Egbuka because the other top prospect he shared the field with at Ohio State was a freshman, Ryan Williams. And normally we don't count freshmen because normally freshmen don't play like Ryan Williams. So in other words, we may not be giving enough credit for what Egbuka was able to do given that he had to share the field with Ryan Williams.
If you're advising a team that's like the New Orleans Saints, for example, that's thinking of picking a receiver, where in this draft do you think there might be value outside of those top 4? Like, where would these guys historically slot in the draft given what you know about their playmaker score projection?
Late round 2. Late round 2.
So when you mention like your day 3 sleeper with LeJohntay Wester, where is that like are we talking about a round 7 guy or are we talking about a round 4 guy?
No, probably more like a 6, like maybe late 5th or 6th round would be a good play. You'd grab him before people are thinking of him more as an undrafted free agent, and I think he's worth drafting. But you're not going to take him in the 4th round. That would be a stretch.
He is Aaron Schatz. You can get him on Twitter at @SchatzNFL. Really good piece up right now about the playmaker score projection, looking at the receivers in this upcoming draft class. there's a lot of names that we all know as people who love college football. Maybe some of them not as highly thought of according to the computer projections. We'll keep an eye on it. Aaron, we appreciate a couple of minutes, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.